Hello, boys and girls, and welcome to the concession stand here on the KB Radio Network. I am your host, Kevin Reed, and this, ladies and gentlemen, is the review of the brand new Netflix science fiction action anime series, Terminator Zero. And this is a highly anticipated show for me when they I didn't even know they was making it. Let me say that. I didn't know anything about it until they released the trailer maybe about a month ago. And I was like, okay, this is interesting. An animated Terminator series. We all know that this is based off of the Terminator franchise, which was created by James Cameron all the way back there in 1984 and is still to this day one of my favorite films of all time. Terminator 2 Judgment Day, one of the greatest action films of all time. And we're going to stop naming the Terminator films thereafter because none of them lived up to those first two films in the franchise. But to see this IP in this medium, animated anime to be more accurate, okay, a different perspective. Let's see how this turns out. This comes from us, or to us, I should say, from Mattson Tomlin, and it is set in the Terminator universe. This is, should I say, canon, if that makes any sense, because if you go back throughout the franchise, the canon of these movies kind of get a little lost, with the Terminator Genesis and Terminator Salvation and so on and so forth. It kind of messes with the timeline, especially Genesis. Genesis pretty much erased Terminator 2 Judgment Day, and that was like the cardinal sin. That's when I really kind of checked out of this franchise. But this is set inside of this universe. This is a 8-episode series, 30 minutes, I think, per episode. Went right through them, one sitting, and watched the entire series on Netflix. The premise of Terminator Zero, set in 1997 in Tokyo, Malcolm Lee has been developing the AI system Kokoro that is intended to compete with Skynet. A day before Judgment Day, Malcolm Lee finds himself and his 3 children pursued by an unknown robot assassin, and a mysterious soldier from the year 2022 has been sent to protect him. And you read, when you hear that, you're like, okay, so it's like any other Terminator. It's the exact same premise to a degree, but it's done in a different way. I actually enjoyed this show. This is how can I word this correctly? I don't want to come off as crazy here, but this is probably the best adaptation of Terminator since T2. And despite the fact that, including myself, because I just poo-pooed on all those sequels, but I did like Dark Fate. I like Terminator Dark Fate. I can recognize the flaws, but I always saw Terminator Dark Fate, which was the last live action adaptation or the live action sequel in the Terminator franchise to come out. It was directed by Tim Miller, and Linda Hamilton returned as Sarah Connor in that film. I thought it was good. I thought it was really good. It felt Terminator-y. If that's a word. I loved it. I did. But like I said, it had flaws, and I recognized the flaws. But up to this point, that was probably the closest to the original 2 films in this franchise that you can get. All the other ones can go somewhere. I can honestly say Terminator Zero probably leaped over Dark Fate to me. I loved how this story is flushed out. Now, granted, you had more time. The story isn't condensed into a 90-minute to 2-hour long movie. You had 8 episodes, rather, even though it was 30 minutes, but you had 8 episodes. That comes out to 4 hours to flush out this story. And they did a good job at it. It was a lot of story to be told here. We had a a good number of characters. It isn't just the Terminator, Sarah Connor, and Kyle Reese running, your three main characters. You had a few characters to play with. You had Malcolm Lee, like I said, his three children. The what's her name? Eco, which has a big twist at the end with her. Uh Masaki had a big twist in this film. It's actually interesting that the twist worked. You kind of saw a couple of them, but there's one in here, maybe two in here, that really blew my mind. Two of them actually got me. And you want my attention? You want me to love your television show or your movie? Trick me in a good way, not in a bad but trick me, to where I didn't see that coming. I've watched so many movies and television shows throughout my life. It's kind of hard to trick me, and a lot of you out there are like that as well. And so I'm nothing special, but I'm just saying, it takes a lot to kind of fool me when it comes to watching certain TV shows and movies. But there's actually a nice twist in this show, but it still honors the original canon of the Terminator franchise. I mean, actually, now that I think about it, there was about 4 or 5 twists in this in this show, and it was organically displayed. It wasn't shoehorned in just for the sake of, oh, we're gonna put a twist here, we're gonna blow the audience mind. No, it fit within the construct of the story, and smartly done. This was well written. The voice actors in this show did an excellent job. Timothy Artifact did an awesome job as the Terminator. Andre Holland did a great job as Malcolm Lee. You also had Rosario Dawson as Kokoro, as the AI system that Malcolm Lee built here. Did a phenomenal job. I mean, everybody across the board. I'm telling you, if you are a fan of the Terminator franchise, this is right up your alley. This is so enjoyable. Like I said, a quick watch. You're definitely going to be clamoring for more once the season ends. 8 episodes wasn't enough for me. I needed more. On top of all of the twists and turns in this show, they even did a nice little cliffhanger at the end. just to sprinkle some hot sauce all on this burrito. Yeah, it's a lot here, but it's not infuriating. It's not like, oh, I got more questions than answers. No, they actually answered a majority of the questions throughout the season. Nothing is really left out there for you to wonder per se. Yeah, you want to see the story move forward because the story, quote unquote, hasn't ended. So there's more to tell. But as far as the questions that were raised, they did a good job, excellent job of answering the majority of those questions. The animation here, I wanted to get this in before I ended the show. This is some beautiful, beautiful animation. Once again, if you're a Terminator fan, you would enjoy it for its story. You would enjoy it for its lore. But if you're not really into the Terminator story, but you're into anime, all of the old anime like Akira and Ghost in the Shell and those type, the mainstream ones where I got hooked up in. I know a lot of people can go to Vampire D and all this here. I'm geeking out on y'all, but anyways, this fits in that category as well. Loved the animation here. If you are an anime fan, you would definitely enjoy this animation. Oh my God, it's beautiful, and this is brutal. just because it's a quote unquote cartoon, don't think it's kiddie. This is a Terminator show through and through. It is brutal, and I loved every second of it. Oh man, this was great. It was great. Animation, whether it's anime or whether it's just simple animation, whatever the case, if you can get lost in it while you watching it, and when I say that, I mean you get to the point where you forget you're watching animation. your mind is like fooled to believe that this is real. You ever watch animation like that? It's like, man, this is so good. And I'm not talking like CG animation and stuff where it's photorealistic. I'm talking about how the story is playing out, how fluid the characters look, and all this here. That's what I'm talking about. This is it. This show does it fairly well. This is probably my second favorite animation show to come out this year. And if I give it enough time, it'll probably tie with X-Men 97 as far as animated shows. But X-Men 97 still got the edge. I'm sorry, but it's up there. The fact that I'm mentioning this show up there with X-Men 97 tells you everything you need to know. Terminator Zero, which is currently on Netflix for your viewing enjoyment, gets a letter grade of an A. Yes, I enjoyed it. I really did. I was shocked on how much I enjoyed it. I figured I was gonna like it, but I didn't think I would be like, oh man, I would sit down and watch this again in the New York second. If I'm actually gonna call. This is a long weekend. It's Labor Day weekend. I'll plan to watch it again before the weekend is out. That's how good this is. And my daughter, she's into animation. I know, anime to be more specific. So I know she would love this. Matter of fact, when I was in the house watching it, she kind of passed by. She was like, "What's this? What's this? I gotta check this out." But I was a few episodes in, so she said she'll just watch it from the beginning. So I might watch it with her again. But I highly recommend it for all of you. I would love to know, what did you think of Terminator Zero? Did you enjoy it? Do you think it's a flat zero, or do you think it's a hero? Email the show, kbradiopodcast@gmail.com. You can also search for the show on all social media platforms. Just search for the KB Radio Network. Also, ladies and gentlemen, don't forget about YouTube. Subscribe to the KB Radio Network channel on YouTube, and like this video if you don't mind. Also, don't forget about the 5 stars, the reviews, and sharing this show if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, wherever you are currently listening to the concession stand here on the KB Radio Network. Everybody, thank you for joining me for this review of Terminator Zero. Want you all to know that I love you, continue to love everyone, and until we speak again, you all be blessed.